story you're about to hear is one of love, heartache, and unexpected revelation. From the quiet peace that settles when you find that special someone, to the devastating sting of unfulfilled dreams, this tale winds through the complex web of human emotions that define our lives. As you join me on this journey, let us travel back to the time when this man met his wife, a woman who had the power to soothe his every worry and make him feel whole again. It is said that hope can be both a beautiful blessing and a silent curse. For this husband, hope was his anchor, the guiding light that kept him afloat on the sea of infertility. Yet, for his wife, hope was a reminder of the cruel passage of time, of the unanswered prayers, and of the barrenness that lingered like a shadow. Month after month, they braved the emotional roller coaster of tests, scans, and supplements, only to be met with the bitter sting of disappointment. The dream of parenthood remained an elusive mirage, just out of reach. Buried beneath the surface of this man's busy work schedule was a nagging suspicion, a fear so deep-rooted that he avoided addressing it altogether. In his mind, avoiding the problem was a form of denial that kept him insulated from the truth. But as the months turned into years, a new player entered the scene, his wife's sister. The entrance of this new character would mark a pivotal turning point in the narrative, unleashing a string of events that would change the course of their lives forever. Like a predator stalking its prey, this unwelcome attention lingered on the periphery of the man's consciousness. The glances from his sister-in-law, Cynthia, had a hint of something forbidden and dangerous, yet he couldn't quite put his finger on it. As her visits grew more frequent, so did his uneasiness. But denial, that loyal companion of fear, continued to shield him from confronting the looming issue. Little did he know, Cynthia's intentions were far more sinister than a mere infatuation. The tangled web of deception was starting to take shape. Cynthia's unexpected revelation of her pregnancy stirred the pot of family drama, casting doubt and suspicion on her intentions. And when the grandmother stepped into the fray, with her thinly veiled jabs at the infertility of her own daughter-in-law, the tension in the air became almost suffocating. Cynthia's calculated move, combined with the grandmother's subtle favoritism, were like a spark in a powder keg, the perfect tinderbox for a relationship to ignite and eventually explode into flames. The proverbial noose tightened around the man's neck as his home became a battleground for familial power dynamics. The invasion of his privacy, once guarded like a sacred oath, was now a distant memory, and with the intrusion of his sister-in-law into their daily lives, that sense of unease, previously ignored like a distant echo, now roared like a lion. He knew something was amiss, and his gut instincts were starting to paint an ominous picture of a sinister plot, one that might unravel the very fabric of his marriage. The ruse, that delicate web of deceit carefully woven by Cynthia, was beginning to unravel. As her hand reached out for assistance, the veil of her disguise was cast aside like a discarded curtain, revealing the truth beneath. The unmistakable texture of rubber against his skin confirmed what he had long suspected, that Cynthia's pregnancy was a fraud, a calculated charade aimed at fulfilling her hidden agenda. But with his wife away and the silent eye of his mother-in-law watching, he was trapped in an impossible dilemma. The veil of deception was finally torn asunder. The truth, hidden behind the shadows of mistrust and manipulation, was now glaringly apparent. Like an archaeologist, unearthing a long-forgotten relic, the man uncovered a chilling revelation that shook the foundations of his world. The fake pregnancy belly, a cold, hard emblem of deceit, lay there like a dagger plunged into his heart, stabbing him with questions he was too afraid to ask. What did Cynthia want? Why had she gone to such lengths to weave this web of lies? The fragments of this sinister puzzle were falling into place, revealing a portrait of betrayal and familial treachery. The man stood at a crossroads, torn between his sense of righteous anger and the crushing weight of guilt. The revelation of Cynthia's deceit was a catalyst, igniting a wildfire of emotion, burning through the years of trust and closeness he had shared with his sister-in-law. And now, the heavy mantle of secrecy rested upon his shoulders. Should he tell his wife? Or would the truth be too much to bear? With every second that ticked by, the man's world unraveled further, each revelation tearing apart the illusions he had so tightly clung to. The weight of shame and confusion began to bear down on him, crushing the last of his resolve. Like a drowning man, he grasped at any form of relief he could find, desperate to escape the turmoil raging within. Alcohol, with its false promises of solace and numbness, became his companion for the night. The haze of alcohol was a temporary respite, but in its misty grasp, clarity still surfaced. The betrayal and manipulation of his sister-in-law cut deep, a wound that no amount of liquor could heal. Cynthia's deceit was like a treacherous sea, swallowing the once serene shores of his home. She had violated the most sacred bond of trust between family, shamed his wife, and cast a shadow over his own masculinity. The confrontation, long awaited and now unavoidable, hung in the air like a storm cloud. The man's voice, thick with rage and betrayal, sliced through the silent room with a cutting precision. Cynthia's flimsy facade of innocence was fraying at the edges, her well-practiced ruse finally unraveling. She had played her part perfectly, the fragile, pregnant sister in need of shelter and support, but now, exposed in the harsh light of the truth, the strength of her deception crumbled under the weight of his questioning. The veneer of civility cracked, revealing the ugly truth that lurked beneath. The facade of sisterly concern and compassion crumbled, giving way to a torrent of envy and entitlement that had long simmered beneath the surface. Cynthia's words were like daggers aimed straight at the heart of the family dynamic, piercing the fragile bonds of love and trust that held them together. The revelation shook the man to his core, unearthing a dark undercurrent of resentment and jealousy that he never knew existed. And in that moment, he realized that the threat to his family's happiness didn't. The weight of Cynthia's admission fell upon him like an avalanche, burying his sense of reality beneath its suffocating mass. Love, once a force of warmth and joy, became twisted into a dark, selfish impulse. Her confession exposed a plot of calculated deception, a twisted tale of manipulation aimed at stealing not just his heart, but his entire life. The shock of her words paralyzed him, the world around him suddenly seeming to spin out of control. He tried to speak, but the words died on his tongue as he grappled with the enormity of the betrayal before him. The words that fell from Cynthia's lips painted a portrait of pain and betrayal, a collection of memories that spoke volumes about the insecurities and disappointments she carried within her. Her confession was a window into the depths of her mind, revealing the resentment that had festered inside her for years. The mockery, the teasing, the hurtful words that had eroded her self-esteem and left her vulnerable to the siren call of vengeance. With each word, the web of lies and manipulation grew more intricate, entangling the man in a dark, twisted maze that seemed to have no... The stark admission hung heavy in the air like a cloud of smoke that refused to dissipate. The truth, once veiled in shadow, now stood naked and unadorned, exposing the twisted logic of a wounded heart. With each syllable, Cynthia's words painted a chilling picture of a mind bent on revenge, fueled by a deep-rooted bitterness and a desperate need for validation. The lengths she had gone to, the carefully crafted deceptions, all designed to tear apart the foundations of her sister's happiness and claim it for herself. The room was an echo chamber of betrayal, each word a bullet of accusation and desperation. Cynthia's logic, once a whisper in the dark, now blared like a klaxon, revealing the extent of her madness. The mention of adoption was like a grenade thrown into the conversation, shattering the fragile veneer of her scheme. Her demented plan to circumvent the natural progression of life, to insert herself into the bond between husband and wife, twisted the fabric of family into a grotesque parody of itself. The air thickened, oppressive and cloying as the confrontation reached a fever pitch. The truth had become a weapon in Cynthia's hands, and her grip on it was tenuous at best. With the phone held in his trembling fingers, the man was moments away from exposing her web of deceit. But before he could sound the alarm, Cynthia struck a fatal blow, erasing the light from his world with a single heavy swing. The darkness that engulfed him was not just of the physical world, but also of the mind. Trapped within the confines of his own home, the man's struggle took on a primal, animalistic quality. Every movement against his bindings was a desperate bid for escape, an escape from the nightmare that had swallowed him whole. Cynthia's composure, however, remained unnervingly calm, her smile a veneer of civility that masked the sinister intentions lurking beneath. "Explain?" she echoed, almost mocking his situation. "My dear brother-in-law, you've always been too quick to judge." The revelation of the marriage certificate was like a cold slap to the face, bringing a sickening clarity to the chaos that had enveloped his life. Cynthia's plan was more elaborate, more twisted than he could have imagined. Her words hung in the air like a noose, tightening around his throat. "Sign the papers," she implored, desperation tinging her voice. "I'll make you happy. I'll be a good wife." The insidiousness of her proposal was like poison, seeping through the cracks in his resolve. The veil of reason had slipped from Cynthia's grasp, revealing a truth that was both unsettling and heartbreaking. Her desperation had reached a tipping point, making her blind to the destruction in her wake. "You're wrong, Cynthia," the man replied, his voice steady despite the pounding in his temples. "You've already lost everything. You've betrayed my trust, my wife's trust. You've broken our family." The gravity of his words weighed heavy in the silence that followed. The depth of Cynthia's despair was palpable, like a fog that clung to her being, enveloping her in a twisted blend of pain and delusion. Her admission of madness, so poignant and despairing, spoke volumes of the broken pieces she had gathered to craft her twisted tale. She was, in a sense, a tragic heroine of her own making, caught in the throes of her own destructive narrative. The question that lingered like a shadow creeping across the room was whether she could be saved from the darkness that consumed her. A chilling realization dawned on the man as he hung, suspended between Cynthia's insanity and his own desperate struggle for escape. The scene was not merely a power play or a game of cat and mouse, but a tragedy in the making, one that could end in irreparable damage or even death. Cynthia's words, heavy with sorrow and desperation, laid bare the twisted tapestry of her psyche. She had woven her own pain into a prison, trapping both herself and the man in a situation where freedom seemed impossible. The unraveling of Cynthia's story, a tragic spectacle of obsession and delusion, came to a close as the police took her into custody, and in the wake of her downfall, the question that lingered in the shadows of the man's mind was not one of retribution, but one of understanding. The echoes of her whispered confession reverberated through the emptiness of the room, a haunting reminder of the human condition, the desperate need for love, for validation, for the acceptance that she had so desperately craved. The consequences of the events unfurled themselves like a series of dominoes, each one falling with a resounding thud into the shattered remnants of a once happy marriage. The revelation about his own fertility was a cruel twist of fate, compounding the pain and loss he already felt. It added a layer of self-recrimination and regret, a gnawing sense that, if only he had faced the issue sooner, the story might have ended differently. Indeed, the real tragedy lies not in the dissolution of a marriage, but in the ripple effect of one person's bitterness. It spread like a contagion, infecting the lives of all those around her. This is not merely a cautionary tale of deception and betrayal, but a warning about the destructive power of unaddressed pain and resentment. Cynthia's story serves as a reminder that our inner turmoil, left unchecked, can wreak havoc on the lives of those we love. A stark reminder of the importance of empathy and open communication in navigating the complexities of love, trust, and forgiveness. Cynthia's story serves as a tragic cautionary tale, a stark example of what can happen when jealousy and resentment are allowed to fester unchecked. But beyond her mistakes, she is a reminder that no person is immune to the demons that lurk within, that all of us must contend with the darkness that can sometimes consume us if we do not seek help in time. Your revelation speaks to the power of deception, the devastating impact of false appearances on those caught in the web of deceit. Cynthia's phony pregnancy bump, in all its cruel irony, symbolized a deeper falsehood at the core of her being, a heart that was as hollow and contrived as the fake bump she cradled. Your realization strikes at the heart of betrayal and deception. Like a trick of light in a distorted mirror, Cynthia's false display of fertility was but a reflection of the darkness that had taken root in her soul. As you come to terms with the unshakable knowledge of her duplicity, you are faced with a devastating truth, that the life you thought you knew, the family you cherished, was a facade, carefully constructed by someone who was never truly who she claimed to be.